Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com and of course the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. We are coming off what many people, including myself, would call a lackluster Raw leading up to WrestleMania 29 in just a few weeks. Got a lot of questions here, so let's get right down to it. First one today comes from Ryan G2323. Hey Aaron, in my opinion, Raw was really bad for a Road to WrestleMania show. Why does WWE insist on having 3 hours and 15-minute Raws when they could have 2-hour Raws with less squash matches and time wasters? If they have to do 3 hours, why the extra 15 minutes? Alright, you have to make this clear. The 3-hour Raws and the overruns, that is not WWE's call. That is USA Network's call, and it was USA Network that wanted to do the 3-hour Raws in the first place. And let's face it, right now, the 3-hour Raws are working in the sense of delivering the ratings. Last week, the last several weeks, WWE has gotten either close to 5 million viewers for the 3 hours, or they've had an average of 5 million viewers for a 3-hour show. And that is very good from a rating standpoint. Now, of course, the ratings always drop in the third hour, but it's the overall average that USA Network looks at. And right now, they're happy with the ratings. And as long as USA Network is happy, WWE is going to keep getting paid by them, and the 3-hour Raws are going to continue. I don't know how long it's going to keep going, but at least through WrestleMania, we're going to have to keep dealing with the 3-hour Raws. And I think it definitely hurts the product from a creative standpoint, and weeks like this past week on Raw would have definitely been better with a shorter show, but like I said, as long as they're delivering solid ratings, the 3-hour Raws are going to continue. Now, we'll see what happens after WrestleMania, see if the ratings go into a free fall. I mean, that is definitely a possibility because, right after WrestleMania tends to be the weakest period in WWE and people tune out. So that'll be the true test. If WWE can maintain, 4.5 to 5 million viewers every week, the 3-hour Raws will probably be sticking around. But if we see the ratings start dipping under 4 million every week, then it might be the time to go back to 2 hours. All right, this one comes from Aliv705. Do you think the No Holds Barred was a good choice for the Triple H and Brock match at WrestleMania? I feel a 3 Stages of Hell match or Last Man Standing would be better. Also, the stipulation with Triple H's career in the line adds unpredictability. Your thoughts? Well, actually, of the 2 stipulations, I thought that the Triple H putting his career on the line was the one that I didn't really care for. Everyone knows Triple H is all but retired at this point. He lost the match to Brock Lesnar. He cut his hair. As it is, he only wrestles twice a year now. So what's the point of doing this stipulation? I don't get it. Even if Triple H wins at WrestleMania, he's still only going to be wrestling twice a year at the most, 2 or 3 times. So I really don't get what WWE was thinking doing this stipulation. It really does absolutely nothing for me, and I can't imagine it doing a lot for the rest of the audience, because I think even your casual viewer knows that Triple H is basically a behind-the-scenes guy now, and that he's running the company and he's not an active performer anymore. So why put his career on the line when he's not really wrestling much to begin with? So yeah, I didn't like that stipulation. No holds barred. I mean, it's a little bit anticlimactic for me. Where, they spent that whole segment building up what the stipulation was going to be, and it's just a no holds barred match, no DQ, no count out, whatever. I don't know if Hell in the Cell was the right choice, but maybe a Last Man Standing would have been better. Maybe doing a different type of match, like 3 Stages of Hell, doing something different. I was definitely a little bit disappointed with the announcement, or I was thinking maybe they do something where the ownership of the company would be on the line, something like that that would make the storylines interesting after WrestleMania, but nope. All right, this one comes from Big Papa Gazan. With the addition of Booker T to this year's Hall of Fame, it's one of the best ever. In your opinion, which Hall of Fame class was the all-time best? Mine would be 2001 with HBK, Legion of Doom, Abdullah the Butcher, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Well, I'm going to have to say this year. I mean, I was not expecting Booker T to be announced for the Hall of Fame this year, just because WWE has already stacked this year's Hall of Fame lineup as it is. And honestly, I don't really think you need to add Booker T to this year. But you know what? WWE's going all out for the Hall of Fame this year. It's in Madison Square Garden. I guess they want to make it the biggest of all time. And I really do feel it is the biggest of all time. I mean, every single person going into this year's Hall of Fame deserves to be in it, no doubt about it. And they're all top-level superstars, during their era. And it's interesting because usually WWE airs 1 hour of the Hall of Fame after WrestleMania, and they only show like the 2 or 3 top headliners. But who are you going to show this year? Because everybody is important. So that I'm definitely curious about, to see how they go about airing the Hall of Fame and who's going to get the time on television. But everybody deserves the TV time in the main event spot, in my opinion. I mean, Booker T could headline a Hall of Fame class on his own. Mick Foley, Bruno, Bob Backlund, Trish even. I mean, they're all top-tier superstars. So definitely this year, I think, is... And another thing interesting, too, about this Hall of Fame is, you're putting in so many big names this year. Who are you going to put in next year? How are you going to top it? So that's a little bit interesting, but I definitely like this direction they're going in, with inducting a lot of good people that deserve it, rather than induct 1 or 2 deserving people and then a bunch of people that don't really belong in the Hall of Fame. All right, this one comes from Legend Thriller 1. Hey Aaron, big fan. Thanks for that. 2 questions first. With John Cena evening the feud with The Rock at 1-1 at WrestleMania 29, will there be a third match? And if so, who do you think will win the series? And do you think DDP will ever be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? Please answer in video. Well, I think the guys with the leaf blowers have a good chance of being inducted into the NoDQ Hall of Shame. But getting back to the question here, I think that there's a very good chance we'll see a tiebreaker between The Rock and John Cena. Especially if John Cena wins at WrestleMania, you have an easy setup for a third match, that match to break the tie, the rubber match. Only makes sense to do it. You might as well. Now, I'm hoping they don't do it at WrestleMania 30. I think that, I don't want to say this again because I'm going to SummerSlam, but you should probably do this match at SummerSlam. Have the third Rock vs. Cena match at SummerSlam. Just doing it at WrestleMania, I think, would be overkill. You go back to WrestleMania 27, it's been 3 years now that WrestleMania has been built around Rock and Cena. So to do it for a 4th year, I think is just too much. If you're going to do a third match, do it at SummerSlam. That seems like your best bet. And as far as DDP going into the Hall of Fame, absolutely. I think that it's inevitable that DDP will go in. He's had a great career and just a great human being. He's doing all this stuff with Scott Hall and Jake the Snake Roberts. And I think him going in the Hall of Fame is a no-brainer, and it will definitely happen sooner than later. All right, this one comes from John Parrish 8. What do you think about the crowd chanting USA during Del Rio's match, even after Del Rio was assaulted? I thought that was really amusing, and I don't understand wrestling fans sometimes with their chants. You chant USA, but Jack Swagger's the heel. Jack Swagger's the guy that's representing USA, so why are you chanting USA? Del Rio's from Mexico. And I always found it interesting over the years, like there would be like a match between a Mexican and a Canadian, and you'd have the crowd chanting USA. I'm like, huh? And it's happened lots of times. I remember it happening with Bret Hart matches. Bret Hart's a babyface, and the crowd would start chanting USA, but do they not realize that Bret is Canadian? I mean, I always thought that was funny, and yeah, I don't get wrestling fans sometimes. All right, this one comes from G Player Mendez. Hey Aaron, greetings from Portugal. Do you think that the World Championship match at WrestleMania is not only one of the weakest matches of the pay-per-view, but also one of the weakest world title matches in WrestleMania history? Please answer in video. I absolutely believe that. It's definitely among the weakest world title matches in WrestleMania. Probably the weakest. I mean, the weakest that I could think of in the past would be Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. But even Sheamus had more momentum than Del Rio has at this point. I mean, Del Rio, he's not getting over as much as WWE wants him to be getting over. And, same thing with Jack Swagger. And I have a bad feeling that this match is going to bomb on pay-per-view. I don't think the people are going to be that much into it. Although, I expect it to be the opening match. And usually fans are into the opening match because it's the first match of the night. And I don't expect it to go very long, though. I think I would be very surprised if Del Rio did not make quick work of Jack Swagger. I think it'll be a quick title match, and Del Rio will get a decisive win. Um, but yeah, it is up there with the weakest matches. I mean, you could argue Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. I wouldn't say Edge and Del Rio was the weakest, just because Edge was a top-tier superstar and Del Rio had the Royal Rumble momentum. It was just the fact that they put it in the opening match that brought it down. But yeah, in this case, I mean, this match, even if they put it later in the card, it still won't feel like a world title match. And actually putting it later in the card, I think, would be a huge mistake. I think people would be dead for it if they put it towards the end. It's actually best in this case that they make it the opening match or the second match or whatever. All right, the last one today comes from Matt Lynch 357. Hey Aaron, love the show. I was wondering if you think we will ever see the WWE Hall of Fame inductions of Jeff Hardy, RVD, and Kurt Angle. Your thoughts? Well, this goes back to earlier with DDP. I think that all these guys are shoo-ins for the Hall of Fame. I think that it's all but a sure thing that one day these guys will get in. I think a lot of it has to do with them being affiliated with TNA. RVD, his contract is up, so who knows what's going to happen with him. But if he stays out of TNA, I could very well see RVD going in maybe as soon as next year. RVD is an obvious pick for the Hall of Fame. Big star in WWE, former WWE champion, one of the biggest stars in ECW history. He's a no-brainer. And certainly Jeff Hardy and Kurt Angle. I think once they're finished with TNA, there's a very good chance that they'll go into the Hall of Fame. I would be amazed if they didn't go into the Hall of Fame. I mean, those guys, if anybody deserves to be in it, it's those three. All right, that'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&AV video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQ&AW. Tell a friend on Facebook or Twitter, and I will see you next time for more NoDQ&AV video.